Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most seismic conflicts of the ancient world, a war that pitted brother against brother, reshaped an empire, and changed the course of Western civilization forever. I'm talking about the Peloponnesian War. So picture this, it's the 5th century BC. Ancient Greece isn't a single country like it is today. It's a collection of powerful, independent city-states, or poleis. And the two biggest players on the block are Athens and Sparta. They couldn't be more different. Athens is a cool, cosmopolitan kid. It's a bustling democracy, a hub of philosophy, art, and theater. It's home to guys like Socrates and Pericles. Athens also controls a massive naval empire called the Delian League. Initially, this league was a defensive alliance to protect against the Persian Empire. But over time, Athens started treating its allies more like subjects, demanding tribute and enforcing its will with its unbeatable navy. They were rich, they were powerful, and they were ambitious. Then you have Sparta. Sparta is the tough, no-nonsense jock. It's an oligarchy ruled by two kings and a council of elders. Spartan society is built around one thing and one thing only: military discipline. From the age of 7, every male citizen is trained to be an unstoppable soldier, a hoplite. They value strength, duty, and simplicity. Sparta leads its own alliance, the Peloponnesian League, made up of other land-based powers who are getting pretty nervous about Athens' growing influence. For a long time, these two superpowers eyed each other suspiciously, kind of like a Cold War but with bronze shields and spears. The historian Thucydides, our main source for the war, famously wrote that the truest cause of the war was the growth of Athenian power and the fear which this inspired in Sparta. Tensions were simmering, and it was only a matter of time before the pot boiled over. The spark that lit the fuse came from a series of smaller conflicts. One involved Corinth, a major ally of Sparta, and its colony Corcyra. Corcyra got into a spat and asked Athens for help. Athens, seeing a chance to gain a powerful naval ally and stick it to Corinth, agreed. This was a direct provocation to the Peloponnesian League. Then Athens slapped a trade embargo on another Spartan ally, Megara, crippling its economy. Sparta's allies were screaming for action. They went to Sparta and said, "Look, Athens is out of control. Are you going to do something about it? Or are you just going to sit there?" After a heated debate, Sparta sent an ultimatum to Athens: lift the embargo and give the Greek cities their freedom, or face war. Pericles, the charismatic leader of Athens, gave a legendary speech. He told the Athenians not to back down. He argued that their naval supremacy would allow them to win any war. His strategy was simple: avoid fighting Sparta's legendary army on land. Instead, retreat behind the massive fortifications known as the Long Walls, which connected Athens to its port, Piraeus. From there, they could use their navy to raid Spartan territory and keep their empire supplied by sea. It was a strategy of attrition. So in 431 BC, the war began. The first phase of the war, known as the Archidamian War, went pretty much as Pericles planned. The Spartan king Archidamus would invade Athenian territory, Attica, every year, burning crops and trying to lure the Athenian army out for a fight. But the Athenians just stayed behind their walls, thumbing their noses at the Spartans while their fleet sailed out to cause trouble elsewhere. It seemed like a solid plan, but there was one thing Pericles didn't account for: disease. In the second year of the war, with thousands of people crammed inside the city walls in unsanitary conditions, a horrific plague broke out in Athens. It was devastating. It wiped out nearly a third of the population, including soldiers, sailors, and even Pericles himself. Imagine the terror and chaos. Thucydides, who caught it and survived, gives a chilling account of the complete breakdown of life and social order. People were dying so fast they were just being thrown into mass graves. The death of Pericles left a power vacuum in Athens. New, more aggressive and reckless leaders, known as demagogues, rose to power. The most prominent was a guy named Cleon, who pushed for a more brutal, offensive war. Despite the plague, Athens managed to score a major victory in 425 BC at Pylos and Sphacteria. In a shocking turn of events, a group of Athenian soldiers managed to trap several hundred elite Spartan hoplites on the island of Sphacteria. Spartans were famous for never surrendering. It was a core part of their identity. But here, faced with starvation, they did. They surrendered. The entire Greek world was stunned. This shattered the myth of Spartan invincibility. Shaken by this defeat, Sparta offered peace. Cleon, however, convinced the Athenians to reject the offer, believing they could get an even better deal. The war dragged on. Eventually, both Cleon and the top Spartan general, Thucydides, were killed in battle. With the most aggressive leaders on both sides gone, they finally decided to call a truce. In 421 BC, they signed the Peace of Nicias. It was supposed to last for 50 years. It barely lasted 6. The peace was fragile from the start. Both sides kept meddling in each other's affairs, and old rivalries didn't just disappear. The breaking point came with one of the most infamous and disastrous campaigns in military history, the Sicilian expedition. A charismatic and ambitious Athenian general named Alcibiades, a real piece of work. Brilliant but totally untrustworthy, persuaded the Athenian assembly to launch a massive invasion of Sicily. The plan was to conquer the powerful city of Syracuse, a Spartan ally, and gain control of the island's vast resources. It was an incredibly ambitious gamble. The expedition was a catastrophe from the very beginning. Just before the fleet set sail, a bunch of religious statues in Athens were vandalized, and Alcibiades was implicated. He was recalled to stand trial, but instead of facing the music, he defected to Sparta. He then proceeded to give the Spartans all of Athens' secret, advising them on how to defeat his own city. He told them to fortify a permanent base in Attica called Thessaly, which would allow them to harass Athens year-round, not just during campaign season. And he told them the secret to winning the war: build a navy. Back in Sicily, the Athenian forces were bogged down. They were outmaneuvered by the Syracusans, who were being advised by a Spartan general. After a series of devastating defeats on both land and sea, the entire Athenian invasion force was annihilated. Tens of thousands of experienced soldiers and sailors were killed or captured. Those who were captured were thrown into stone quarries, where most died from exposure and starvation. It was an unimaginable disaster for Athens. They lost a huge chunk of their army, their navy, and their treasury. Any other city-state would have collapsed, but Athens, incredibly, fought on. They rebuilt their fleet and scrambled to defend their empire, which was now starting to crumble as allies began to revolt, encouraged by Sparta. Now the Spartans, with funding from an old enemy of the Greeks, Persia, started to build a real navy. The final phase of the war was fought at sea. There were several major naval battles, with victories on both sides, but the tide had turned. The final, decisive blow came in 405 BC at the Battle of Aegospotami. The Spartan admiral Lysander, a cunning and brilliant commander, caught the Athenian fleet completely by surprise. The Athenian ships were beached on the shore, and most of the crews were out foraging for food. Lysander attacked and captured almost the entire fleet without a real fight. It was a total rout. With its navy gone, Athens was helpless. Its lifeline of grain from the Black Sea was cut off. Lysander sailed to Athens and blockaded the port. Starving and defeated, Athens finally surrendered in 400 for BC. The war, which had lasted for 27 years, was over. The terms of surrender were harsh. Athens had to tear down its long walls, give up its empire, and surrender all but 12 of its ships. Sparta installed a brutal puppet government in Athens known as the 30 Tyrants, which unleashed a reign of terror. The Peloponnesian War was a tragedy for Greece. It left Athens broken and exhausted, but Sparta's victory was short-lived. Their heavy-handed rule made them unpopular, and they soon found themselves bogged down in new wars. The constant infighting had weakened all the Greek city-states, leaving them vulnerable. And who was watching all this from the north? A rising power called Macedon. Within a few decades, King Philip II of Macedon, and later his son, Alexander the Great, would sweep down and conquer all of Greece, ending the era of the independent city-state for good. So why does this ancient war still matter? It's a timeless story about power, ambition, and the dangers of hubris. It shows how even the most brilliant democracies can be led astray by fear and bad leadership. Thucydides' account of the war is still studied today in military academies and political science classes because its lessons about strategy, diplomacy, and human nature are as relevant now as they were 2,500 years ago. It's a powerful reminder of the catastrophic cost of war. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey into ancient Greece interesting, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into history. Let me know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see covered. Until next time.